How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's Nascar DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, riding solo today. My Gorilla 31 is out with a cold. His voice is gone, so we want to wish him a very speedy recovery. I know he powered through the Xfinity video yesterday. Shout out to him for his consistency, and we came away with a decent day, kind of break-even kind of day. Xfinity race was a lot more about attrition than anything else. But here we go. We got Cup. We're doing the Coca-Cola 600 here for the NASCAR Cup Series, and talking points just before we start to do driver by driver. Kyle Larson failed to qualify because he hit the wall in practice. Corey LaJoie, I believe, did the same. Corey LaJoie might be in a backup car. I'm not entirely sure yet. Neither am I sure about Kyle Larson going to the backup. I know they were fixing repairs, but maybe we get news today that they are, in fact, going to the backup car. But either way, they're going to be making adjustments. They're going to be starting from the rear. They'll also be scored from the rear. Keselowski spun out in practice, so he did not get to make a qualifying lap. Or he spun out in qualifying, didn't get to make a qualifying lap. So he's also starting in the back. So expect high ownerships on all three of those drivers, especially that Larson and LaJoie, even them together don't take up too much salary, all things considered. So, let's get into it. Denny Hamlin got the pole at 10.5. Probably going to be pretty chalky here. Looks like he's been warming up as far as finishing position, and it looks like Joe Gibbs and the Toyota Racing Development Team brought some hot rods as far as qualifying goes. So no surprise there after the way that they've been handling some of these mile and a halfs lately. I don't mind Denny Hamlin. I think he's going to be pretty popular, like I said, and he's probably going to be a decent cash block. Starting from the pole, tons of laps here. So we're going to need a lot of laps led. There's going to be a lot of fastest laps. Clean air is king here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Looks like the racetrack is pretty wide too from what we've saw. So there's going to be able to be some decent passing going on. So today could be actually a really fun race. Kurt Busch, I'm not a big fan of Kurt Busch starting second. I can understand it in GPPs, but I don't know. I don't typically. I mean, I know he's been super good lately with everything going on since his win. Just not a driver I target quite often, especially starting second. You're going to need some dominator points, even at that $8,600 price tag. And Kurt Busch's history here. In 4 races, he's only got one top 10, so an average finish of 19th. So he's probably at GPP to fade for me. Christopher Bell, I don't see much here on him. I'm not going to be too entirely sure what to do with Christopher Bell. Maybe GPP. He was 5th in overall lap averages during practice. I don't know. GPP to fade. Kyle Busch, this is Mega's favorite play up top. He loves the 18. He thinks Kyle Busch could come away as a winner. I don't disagree at all. Kyle Busch always a strong GPP bet. And with that value that we have with LaJoie and, either Keselowski, if you want to go that route. There's some other guys here too. Value that we'll get to later, but you can kind of fit both the Kyle Busch and the Kyle Larson lineup together. It's going to be tough, but I think it's possible. So I don't mind him. Kyle Busch, always a GPP target. In his last 4 races, he's got 3 top 10s or 3 top 5s, an average finish of 9th. So very strong candidate here. Got to look in the truck race. A team couldn't get him off pit road, but I still had a really good truck. So I think Kyle Busch can bring some of that experience back to the Cup race today. William Byron at 10K, a little too high in price tag for me. Not really it's gonna have to be one or the other with him and Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin. It's gonna be really hard to fit a 3 above 10K. And I mean, in 4 races, he got 1 top 5 with an average finish of 11th. Starting 5th, I could see him finishing somewhere between 5th and 11th. So if he doesn't go forward, then I don't know what I'm going to be doing with 10K. He has been pretty good lately, though. Maybe he's the fastest of the Chevys. We'll see. Yeah, recent form better than the history here for William Byron. Austin Cindric, starting a little too far forward for me. Doesn't have many Ford teammates around him starting off the race. I think fade is a really good call from Mega on this one. 7th, we got Bubba Wallace. McDonald's 2311 Racing Machine, 6,900. GPP, I think, is a fairly good call. He is starting a little too far forward, but Toyota has a lot of fast race cars on that track today. So I could see Bubba not falling too far from 7th, but it's a very long race, and attrition might come into play here, like we saw in the Xfinity race with the tire situation. So, or it could be just a long green flag run like we kind of saw with the trucks. So it can go either way. What I'm trying to get at here with Bubba Wallace is the longer the race is, sometimes I feel like the worse that is for Bubba Wallace. A quick super speedway, only 100 something laps, that kind of does well for his kind of style. Somewhere over 200 and something laps, I start to get nervous for Bubba Wallace. Next up is Tyler Reddick. It looks like the high groove's in play here. And that's not typically what you see at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but the high groove has come into play in the first 2 races here. That bodes well for Tyler Reddick, who loves to run the wall. The different lanes, I think it kind of works into his favor. I don't like the price tag. I actually would rather play Bubba Wallace, and I know they're not the same in price tag, but I don't see how Tyler Reddick is supposed to be 9,600. He does have 2 top 10s and an average finish of 10th, so maybe he finishes where he starts, but that's not what you're asking for at 9,600. So GPP. Alex Bowman, pretty much the same thing. Now Bowman has more win equity at 9,300, so that makes the Tyler Reddick price tag even more insane. So I would rather play Bowman here, even play Blaney here, we'll talk about in a minute. So Tyler Reddick, probably the GPP to fade. Bowman, maybe if you wanted to get a couple of different cracks at it, as far as winning upside. He does have 228 laps led at this racetrack. We could go to practice, see what he's got going on. Overall, Bowman was 9th, so there's some sneaky upside here, and that's what I like at 9,300 for GPP play. McDowell starting too far forward. That's a no for me. Blaney, I do like Ryan Blaney a lot, 9,100. He grades out pretty well in the last 4 races. Blaney's got an average finish of 8th, 2 top 5s. I really like Blaney heading into today at 9,100. I did talk about how Ford doesn't have many teammates up here, so it's going to be hard for him to get connected with any of his partners. That doesn't matter, but it looks like we got some Toyota trains going. So, there might be some teaming up here as far as different lanes and stuff, or just on the restarts, really. Yeah. So hopefully he can get a push on a restart and be a decent driver today. I like Blaney at 9,100. Look at him for an overall bet too. Winner last week. There looks like there's going to be a lot of comparisons between Texas and Charlotte, so I think that bodes well for him. Suarez, a lot of money movement on him at 7,800. Trackhouse has had decent speed. 7,800 is not a bad price tag for 12th. I just don't see how much upside he can have from here. So he could be a guy that maybe finishes where he starts. I don't think he has terrible history here. Yeah, no, he doesn't really have much, but none of that's really in this Trackhouse car. So, I don't mind it. Chase Elliott, I think, is going to be the if you're not playing Denny Hamlin or Kyle Busch with Kyle Larson, I think Chase Elliott here is going to be the big high chalk play at 10-7. He has 4 races here, 4 top 5s, and 1 win, an average finish of 2nd. He's really dominated at Charlotte. I think I'm going to be over the weight in the field here. I also know he was doing pretty well in practice before I stopped having the opportunity to watch. 12th, not terrible, but yeah, Chase Elliott probably going to have a good car on the long run and find his way on a very long race to the front. So I love Chase, probably my favorite play of the day. Martin Truax Jr., 10-2, hasn't done much for dominating races, but man, I am so built to think Martin Truex at Charlotte after watching him. I think he led over like 85% of the laps one year. Just absolutely destroyed this racetrack at night on the Coca-Cola 600. So he is highly capable of doing something like that. Now, that was in a different car. The next-gen car hasn't really been kind to Truex, but man, I can't think of a better racetrack suited for him, and this is it. So I'm going to have exposure to Truex just because of the history that I know he's had at this kind of racetrack. Chase Briscoe, 7,200. I think fade is the right call here. I think he's starting too far forward. I don't see him having a good car that sticks out, and I don't see any history here. So fade is right. Austin Dillon, man, he couldn't even do well in the 48 that won in Texas with Tyler Reddick. So in the Xfinity Series. So Austin Dillon in 4 races. He does have 2 top 10s, an average finish of 15th. So at 8,200, he kind of falls out of like the build construction. The 8K range, not really a vital piece. If you fall around here, sure, I'd understand it, but yeah, 8,200 is a stretch in salary when you're trying to fit a lot of those 10K drivers today. Next up we have Harrison Burton at 6,100. No, I don't play Harrison Burton, and I'm certainly not going to play Harrison Burton starting 17th. So if he's starting 35th, sure. All right, next up we have Kevin Harvick, who called the race yesterday for the Xfinity Series 8K. I don't mind Kevin Harvick here in this spot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to catch a low exposure here to a driver that's got some good history. Now, I know history is kind of thrown out the window with the next-gen car, but still, racetracks like this suit Kevin Harvick pretty well. You race the racetrack, sometimes the drivers are just part of it. And this track really suits him well. In 4 races, he's got 1 top 5, an average finish of 8th. Yeah, Kevin Harvick, I don't mind at all. I didn't see any speed, though, in practice, so let's hope it's all on the long run for the Ford team, for Stuart Haas and Roush Yates. So we'll see with Kevin Harvick, but I don't mind it. 8K, 18th, that's all right. I'd rather play Harvick over Dillon, but yeah, that would be the only 8K play really on my radar. Chris Buescher, GBP at 6,700. I like this play. We're going to need value. We're going to need guys in the 6K range, and Buescher seems to be pretty consistent week in and week out. He's starting to get into a decent groove. Won an all-star heat last week at Texas. I played him quite a bit in that all-star race. He wasn't too bad, and I think on a longer race with a better strategy, with more on the line with points and everything, I like Buescher here at 6,700. Haley, no, starting too far forward. Cole Custer is a GPP to fade for me, and that's just strictly on. Well, I mean, I get decent finishes over the course of his history here, but I don't know. Yeah, 62 isn't too bad, but I just Cole Custer, something always seems to happen to Cole Custer, and I don't like his volatility. Okay, here we go. Ross Chastain, starting 22nd, 9,800. This is a much better play than I would say Byron, and even Truax. But I'll still favor Chase Elliott over him here. But Ross Chastain in Trackhouse just had a bad qualifying session. That's not overly concerning. He's had a dominant year this year. I think he's got a really fast car in practice, second in time. So yeah, prime play here makes a lot of sense. Next up, we have Joey Logano at 8,900, 2,300. Yeah, the sub 9K starting 23rd. Joey Logano. I think I'm gonna have to play that. He's in decent form. So yeah, I'll give it a go with Logano. Almirola, I actually really like Almirola here at 6,500. The price tag is really what draws me here. Starting 24th, not a bad starting spot either. I rather play Eric Jones behind him, which is surprising to say, but Petty GMS has a lot of speed this year. 7,600. Eric Jones driving really well this year. He's had a little bit of bad luck, but yeah, I like him probably more than I like Almirola. Let's see if there's any kind of history that sticks out between the two, maybe for tiebreaker. But yeah, Almirola would get the slight edge, 3 top 20s. But yeah, I like both drivers. Priest, I think is going to be more owned than Mega thinks. Priest had a pretty fast car that spun in qualifying, and that's kind of why he qualified that poorly. But yeah, he actually has a pretty decent race car today. So I think he's going to be more chalk than he should be. But if he's going to be low owned, then I might be over the weight into the field with Priest at 5,200. And I could see myself doing both Priest and LaJoie lineups with Larson and Kyle Busch, or Larson and Denny Hamlin, or Larson and Chase Elliott, and maybe try to squeeze in Chastain in those builds as well. Because, yeah, I think starting 26th, Priest is not going to be a guy that's going to fall backwards in this race. I think his car was pretty fast in practice. He was in the top 10 as far as overall speeds. So, yeah, Priest is maybe a diamond in the rough today. Noah Gragson in the 16. I don't see it for me. Colleague has not transitioned well to the Cup race or to the Cup Series, although Haley's had some better finishes of late. I don't know if Gregson and the 16 team have enough resources to really propel them into a decent finish today. I didn't see any speed in practice that suggests that he does. 27th. Yeah, so rather play Priest. Dylan, I don't mind. He's probably a safer option to Priest. Priest probably a little bit more volatile. So if you want to do in the same theories with the double punt, with Dylan and LaJoie, I think that's a safer cash route. Title and Petty GMS, he's been on the track week in, week out, so I'd understand him playing over Priest. I just think Priest has like top 15 upside. Just randomly good day today, and I think that could win you a large field tournament. Ty Dillon probably wins you a 2v2 in cash. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Mega here has him as a prime play. I don't disagree. Probably going to be about level of the field in ownership. He is driving my favorite car, my favorite number, and he has my favorite candy bar with the Reese's. I love this car. I'd love to get this die cast. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we were watching it yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, the Reese's 47. That's awesome. Yeah, so if there was a car ever made in my name, it would probably be that one. So I love it. 7,400, not a bad price tag either. Probably going to be a stretch to get those multiple up, 10K guys, and Ross Chastain, but if you drop down to Blaney, maybe that gets you to Stenhouse. So I like it. Todd Gilliland, sure, I wouldn't go over the top with him. Hasn't really had good finishes lately. BJ McLeod, Blicky, no. Ware, no. Gralla, no. He doesn't have any speed. The money team, nope. And now we have Keselowski, Larson, and LaJoie, which I think all three are just plays. Mega wanted to make a note that Keselowski might be his Jeffrey Earnhardt call of the Cup Series, where in the Xfinity video, if you got to see that, he said Jeffrey Earnhardt might be might not be as good a play as it seems on paper. And boy, was he right. Jeffrey Earnhardt wrecked early, and he didn't pay off that 40% ownership. So maybe this is the same way for Keselowski here, but at 6,600, it's pretty tough to pass in cash. So I had to understand that. Definitely want to play LaJoie and Larson today, as that combo will be heavily in a ton of GPP lineups for both myself and probably the field. And maybe Keselowski's the guy that we just trickle in every so often in our lineups, but not overweight. He is last in all active drivers and points. I know it's part of the deductions, but just funny to say. All right, that'll wrap things up for me here at FSI for the NASCAR DFS Pick Show for the Coca-Cola 600. Enjoy today's race. If you have any questions, please comment below. Like this video. Follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. All right, boys. Enjoy your day and have a good day.